I'm really not in the mood today to really go anywhere or do anything. Plus, the weather is really bad right now, it's raining. Therefore, I decided that today I'm gonna cook something. Now, actually, this isn't gonna become the norm. Don't worry, I will keep doing restaurant reviews. However, as I said, today I'm not in the mood, and I thought cooking something might actually be a little interesting. Overall, I've paid €12.50 at the supermarket. I've got all the ingredients for the food. I've got water, I've got some chips as a snack. As a fun fact, it is almost 7 p.m. and I have eaten nothing today except a couple of chips. So I would say let's get to making some pasta Alfredo. Let's start on with the cooking. The pasta Alfredo is a pretty simple meal to make, but it has become one of my favorites because it just tastes really good and it is done fairly quickly. So what we're gonna need is a couple of cloves of garlic, which I took the freedom of peeling off camera. You're also gonna need some cream. I hope I bought the right thing. You're gonna need some butter and some kind of cheese. This is grana padano. You can use Parmesan cheese, something like that, one of those harder cheese types. And obviously you're gonna need pasta. And that's pretty much it. It's a little bit of salt and you're done. So let me cut the garlic now and then I'll be right back. Now that that's done, we can start heating up the pan. You could do this before starting cutting the garlic, which is gonna save you some time. But I forgot. The garlic doesn't have to be super finely chopped, as it's gonna soften in the pan anyway. So I didn't really bother because my cutting board here is very small, super slim. I don't know why, but that's just the way it's built. So next up is butter, which will go in the pan. Usually at home I would weigh this, but since we are on the road, I'm just gonna eyeball it. It doesn't really matter exactly how much you put in, but butter definitely gives you a lot of taste, so do not save on the butter. Now I'm gonna wait for the butter to melt a little bit, and then I'm gonna put in the garlic. Alright, so I've now reduced the heat on the butter from 9 to 5, so medium heat. Always properly salt your pasta water. Your pasta needs a lot of salt to taste good. Now in goes the garlic. The only problem or missing thing that I have in this kitchen is a wooden spatula. I don't have one, but I don't think that really matters. Now you let the garlic swivel in the butter for a moment. And meanwhile, you can start, well, grating your cheese. I also don't have a cheese grate, so I'm just gonna cut it up as finely as I can or want to. It's gonna melt in the pan anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But before I start doing that, I am gonna put in my pasta into the pot for however long. I'll check later on. Now, for the portion size, I cannot help you. I always tend to make too much pasta unless if I measure it. Alright, if I measure it, it's quite easy. Without measuring, I usually always make way too much. Now, this is gonna become a problem without a spatula or something. Maybe I could just push it down a bit like this. Alright, now what you usually do not want is for the garlic to turn brown, which is exactly what happened to me right now because I left it in too much heat for too long. So therefore, really only work with small to medium heat and do not have a garlic in the butter for too long before adding the cream. I made a mess now, but I have to shake it up before. Now, as you can see, I'm pretty much eyeballing everything today. But I don't really think it matters that much exactly how much you put in, because it's gonna come together at the end anyway. And you're gonna see whether you maybe need some more cream because the sauce is too thick or something. So that's not gonna be a problem. So while this starts slightly boiling, bubbling, I'm gonna start cutting up the cheese a bit. You actually do want this to slightly boil and bubble so that it reduces a bit, so that the sauce gets a little thicker, because that's what makes it a sauce instead of just water or milk, basically. Now the pasta is almost ready. I have prepared a small bowl to put the pasta water inside of it, because in case the sauce becomes too thick, instead of putting normal water in it, you put pasta water in there. It has some gluten, I think, or whatever. It just makes the sauce a little better. It is salty, so it adds flavor. So that's what the Italians do. That's what you should do. I have taken the heat off of the pan now, because when you put in the cheese, you actually don't want the pan to be too hot, because I don't know how exactly it works, but too high temperatures make the protein in the cheese like flaky, grainy kind of, and it takes away from that smooth kind of sauciness. So therefore, before putting in the cheese, you should always take the pan off the heat for a little while, and then obviously the heat is gonna be enough to melt the cheese, especially if it's grated. Instead of just cut up, I'm gonna put this to the side now and let it melt. The pasta should be ready very soon. And after that, we combine. Definitely not enough salt, unfortunately. But the pasta is pretty much ready. Now the pasta is drained. Now I actually do have to put the pan back on the heat for a little while, because the cheese isn't really melting, as well it's not finely enough chopped and obviously not grated. So it's gonna take a while for this to melt properly. But this is already looking beautiful. As soon as the cheese melts, I'm gonna put in the pasta. I'm probably gonna have to put in some of the pasta water, and then the meal will be ready to serve to myself. Alright, so we're pretty much done. Let's see what we made. Pretty good. Likes a little bit of salt, but other than that, not too bad. I'm now gonna serve this on a plate. Then it's time to eat, to cut the videos, and then tomorrow we're gonna start exploring Porto.